Canadian homeowners are likely to see home insurance premiums rise this year, partly because the insurance industry continues to struggle with record-breaking losses from weather events. Another factor, though, labour shortages in construction. Let's get more from Daniel Ivans. He is a licensed insurance broker at rates.ca. Daniel, thanks for giving us the time.
Yeah, good afternoon. Happy to be here again.
Of course, it's a chore of life. If you're lucky enough to own a home, you have to pay insurance on it, and the premiums are, generally speaking, going up.
Most definitely, yes. Back in 2019, Government of Canada committed to investing, a certain degree of funds for initiatives that supported wildfire responses, prevention, and mitigation. And to date, they've contributed over $800 million to that. In 2020, though, the Insurance Institute of Canada observed that the payouts for insurance claims due to weather damage have been doubling every 5 to 10 years since the 1980s. So back in 2020, there were predictions that we would see that reaching the $5 billion threshold by 2030. But alas, here we are about halfway to 2030, and we've seen over $8 billion paid out in claims in the last calendar year, claims due to weather damage and climate change.
What particular weather events? Flooding, I guess, is high on the list.
Flooding, fires, you name it. So GTA last year, we saw almost $1 billion in insured losses due to flash flooding, hailstorms in Calgary causing over $3 billion in damage, Jasper wildfires causing over $1 billion in damage, the remnants of Hurricane Debbie costing nearly $3 billion in damage. These hurricanes, flash floods, ice storms, wildfires, all very costly and all impacting Canadians across the country.
But the increasing cost of construction, in particular labor, that's another thing, because of course that makes it harder to pay out on a claim, or more expensive, and they got to increase the premiums to cover that.
Well, most definitely, and we're seeing inflation hit us at the grocery store. We're seeing it hit us at the gas pumps, and now it's coming to insurance. And where back in the 1950s, you could buy a home in the GTA for $20,000 to $50,000. Those same homes going today at 2025 are millions, if not multi-millions of dollars. This means increased costs to cover homes, to pay to rebuild homes, but also more specifically increased cost of labor, increased cost of materials, and of course labor shortages also driving up those costs. With increased costs, traditionally we're going to see increased premiums as well.
Have you some advice for homeowners? Presumably shop around is a good place to start and use a broker.
Yeah, discount maximization first and foremost. There's lots of discounts available in the industry. Most notably, one of the most significant discounts being the multi-line discount. So if you've got car or several cars inside of your home, bundling those with your home insurance will bring costs down. But more specifically, it's privatized insurance industry up here in Canada. And so what you have is a lot of markets competing with each other. If you're with a particular insurance company where you're seeing rate increases this year because they've been heavily hit by climate change, it might be time to go out and shop around for an insurer in your area that hasn't been hit as hard or that is looking for your business.
And one thing people should bear in mind, if they're in a flood-prone area, not all policies cover all types of water damage.
Most definitely, and this is why you want to be speaking with an insurance professional when making these decisions. A lot of insurance companies will offer policies with limited water coverage or limited coverage overall. If you're in an area of high exposure, whether you're near a forest that might be particularly vulnerable to fires or near a body of water, you want to be speaking with an insurance professional to make sure that you're going to be properly covered in the event of a catastrophe.
Now, auto insurance is regulated. The industry has to file for increases in premia, and it can take a long time. Governments, of course, seem to do everything at a glacial pace. It can take a long time to approve things, but it's not the same with home insurance.
Correct. Home insurance isn't regulated as heavily. However, naturally, these companies have good relationships at the governmental level and are constantly in a position where they want to be sure that they're providing fair rates to consumers. So where insurance companies can take on premium a little bit more easily when it comes to home insurance, that premium that they're taking on will always be relative to the recent losses and the risks posed to that area on future occasions. companies.
So is that the case, though? Do auto insurance increases, do they need approval from governments?
Absolutely. Auto insurance premiums, especially in Ontario, for the purposes of this conversation, are heavily regulated. And whenever insurance companies want to take on rate for auto, they have to file for rate. And often that could be either approved, declined, or otherwise modified a little bit in terms of how much they're willing to take on. We've seen it historically where, for example, pretty recently in Alberta, some rate freezes were instituted. So insurance companies were having trouble taking on the right amount of premium relative to their losses. That's provided some challenges. But in general, there is a lot of oversight when it comes to auto insurance, and it's heavily regulated.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I know there's been critics of California. They moved to freeze or restrain increases in rates of fire insurance, and some companies pulled back from the market.
Yeah, really tricky what's happening, and really tragic what's happening out in California and in the States in general. And I think that's one of the challenges with the States is each state kind of has its own different rules and policies. Regulation isn't necessarily as stringent down there. Up here in Canada, lots of regulation, lots of oversight, and lots of communication between both insurance companies and again, the governmental level, which would or rather should instill confidence in consumers that we won't be seeing similar challenges anytime soon.
We'd better leave it there. Daniel, thank you very much indeed for joining us.